Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Capital to the Coast BNI. My name is Mike Manning. Each week, we bring you a local small business success story from one of our 37 chapters, ranging from Raleigh, Durham, Chapel Hill, all the way to Jacksonville, New Bern, and soon to be Swansboro. If you're not familiar with BNI, it's Business Networking International, the world's largest networking organization. Our goal each week is to help our fellow members grow their business by following the Giver's Gain motto for BNI. And our local small business success story this week is Lori Denham with High Point Bookkeeping. Lori is part of RD21. Their chapter name is Generosity. They meet Monday mornings at 8:15 a.m. at Apple Law in Clayton. So if you are ever near there, please stop by. Lori, how are you today?
I'm doing fantastic, Mike. Thank you for asking.
Good. Glad to have you on. So Lori is a bookkeeper. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about how she got there. And of course, we're going to talk about grandkids here in a few minutes. So we're going to be all over the place. So Lori is the vice president of RD21. You guys launched in September, if I remember right, correct? All
Correct.
right. But you were in BNI before in Colorado.
Technically, I was in BNI in Nevada, a guest in Colorado, and a member of the virtual Tampa.
There you go. Oh, I keep forgetting about Tampa. That's right. Right. So, Lori's got over 30 years of bookkeeping, management experience, all kinds of stuff that leads her to being an expert that she is. I always like to ask folks with the industry they're in, is there any family DNA to bookkeeping in your family anywhere?
Not in link of it. Not no. I was the odd duck out.
Is there small business ownership in your deep family tree?
Yes, my uncle had a very successful drywall sheetrocking company.
Oh, did you?
Other than that, I was raised by hardworking
Yeah.
parents.
Did you ever get to play in the drywall world as a summer intern or anything?
No, but we definitely hung our own drywall. I'll never do it again.
Which leads me into the next thing, folks. We talk about this every week. There's some things we need to outsource. And I always tell small business owners that are getting ready to start a business, you outsource two things. One is your social media, the other is your bookkeeping. Now, you might be good at both, but you won't be consistent, which is why you need to outsource your bookkeeping, Lori. And people don't understand why until they outsource it and they can take a deep breath to deal with folks like you so they can go on and do other stuff.
That is correct. Typically, this time of the year, they're usually in panic mode because they're not ready for taxes. That's the first one. Secondly, their tax preparer said they are not going to prepare taxes based on the financial information that was presented. So there was no organization. And the biggest thing that helps small business owners is bookkeeping gives you the story of how your business is doing. So as you're growing your small business, you know where the money's going, you know when to hire new people, when to expand. Great for bringing on coaches to help you grow your business or get organized. There's lots of benefits to outsourcing your bookkeeping.
Yeah, and I'm always interested talking to small business owners when you ask them, not in detail how their revenue is going, but do you know where your money's coming from or how well you're doing? And a lot of times they're like, you know what? I'm hanging on for dear life, or yeah, 2025 was a really good year. And you're like, what does that mean? But folks like you can show them this is what it means, can't you?
We can, and we hear a lot that revenue is great, but they have no idea where the money went. And if you don't know where the money went, you may not have had the year you thought you had. Or the question I usually get during this time of year is, my profit and loss says I made 100,000. That's not my bank. So I love that question.
Where do you usually find where that money went?
Well, the biggest hiding place for that money is on the balance sheet, which most business owners have no idea there's a second financial paper. That's usually where the money goes. You've probably got loans, you've probably bought equipment, your credit cards that you're using, your line of credit that you may have, all that is being paid for behind the scenes for things that you've spent your money on, whether that's advertising, professional services, your cost of goods sold. You borrowed money to get the necessary items, assets that you need to get the job done or provide the service for your clients.
And folks like you, when you work with small businesses, and I'm not going to ask pricing or rates or anything, but there are different levels of work small business owners can partner uh, with you on, and they don't have to buy the ultimate package or whatever people want to call it.
Right. I'll, as a serial entrepreneur myself, I'm always happy to take a phone call with a business owner to help them find the resources they need until they're ready for a full service bookkeeping. We do offer everything from typically our clients fall in that 3, 5, 7 year range where they're established and they're growing so much they can't keep up with anything. So we have that controller level position where we come in and organize everything, take care of their payables, monitor their receivables, kind of that full blown thing, all the way to fractional CFO services, helping them grow to the next level, scale, grow, cut down on expenses, figure out, what they need to do to tighten up the ship to be a really successful business, or if they're preparing for exit.
Yeah, and sometimes you can grow your rev or your profit just by bringing on somebody like you to figure out where everything went.
Exactly. Know what to cut out, know what mixing money is usually the
Yeah.
biggest thing that happens with our small business owners, and just having a better strategy on how to um, curtail some of that type of thing. It helps to have an outside voice giving you those resources and ideas on ways to maybe stop mixing the money. That's the best advice I can give them.
Yeah, we hear that in the real estate world, commingling, and of course, in their
Yes.
world, that gets you into jail. I guess with other small businesses, just takes you to bankruptcy court or having to get another job.
Well, yes, the commingling of funds can mean that you've pierced the corporate veil. So if you got into an unfortunate circumstance of litigation, an attorney can prove that your personal assets were used to fund the business. And so that's where, a good business attorney to keep your legal structure right and a accounting firm to help you keep everything straight protects your family. It protects your personal assets as well.
Yeah. Now, good stuff. Good tip. So I've always been intrigued since I've met Lori in September, or actually before September when core group came together. So a couple things about your business model at High Point Bookkeeping, co-owned by you and your husband, Stuart. We'll get to that in a minute. I'm intrigued and very wary of that husband wife team, but again, we'll get to that in a second. Last you and I talked, you have 14 employees spread out all over the states, and love your tagline, from Maui to Miami. You help
Yes,
small business owners. So, uh, on day one, when High Point Bookkeeping opened, who was on the payroll?
I was on the payroll. And technically, I wasn't even on the payroll yet, which is a very big mistake that business owners do is you don't pay yourself. It took me a couple months, but I did get myself on the payroll right away.
Yeah, it's an interesting mix of being funded correctly so
Mhm.
you don't have to take the wrong clients, make the wrong decisions,
Yes,
just pay your house note. But yeah, eventually you got to pay yourself because that's kind of why you started that business.
correct.
So it took you, so did it take you 2 months to figure out to convince yourself to pay yourself?
It didn't take me very long since I'm a serial entrepreneur. I made those mistakes. I learned from those mistakes. So I always make sure that I at least am paying myself. Maybe it's a little bit at first, but I always make sure that I got in the habit of paying myself.
And that's what most people will tell business owners. You got to pay yourself first.
too.
So, uh, the what was the question I was going to ask? Had a great question coming. Oh yeah. Uh, when the day you opened High Point Bookkeeping, how did you let the world know you were open for business?
Oh, I got on my little BNI networking booth and I went out and networked and let people know that High Point was open for business. Um, because I had been networking for so long, it was really an easy thing for me to do to, hop in and visit BNI groups and other networking organizations when I was in Colorado. Um, and just being consistent, showing up, same message. People like I had my one of my first clients, he said, I wasn't sure about hiring you, but your message never changes and you're here all the time. And through that, just built continuous relationships, built on the ones I had in the past, letting my colleagues and stuff that I built up in Reno, Nevada, into my Colorado contacts, that I was open for business. And it just kind of blossomed from there.
Yeah, because you've got a lot of times you'll find out, just like in a lot of my analogies are sports related, but generally the best players on any team are the hardest workers. And a lot of times, if you talk to small business owners, well, how'd you get started? And like, I went everywhere. I was seen, I was heard. And otherwise, some people just like, oh, I sent out, I post on social media a couple times, but
Mhm.
I think you found out quick that that wasn't going to do it,
Yeah.
was it?
Well, social media is, um, it's necessary, and I definitely understand that. But if you're not out there and meeting people, you can't build the relationship. And social media does not build that relationship. What social media does is confirms your brand, lets people know that you're active. Because I've been told, I don't hire from social media, but I go there to see how often you're posting. And was your last post 6 months ago or a year ago? Or was it today? So they're looking to make sure that you're not on your way out.
Yeah, when I go to somebody's website, I usually look for their blog. And if I see their last blog was June of 2025, I'm like, okay. So,
I
y-
might be guilty of not keeping up on my blogs, but
yeah,
everything else is
yeah.
going.
Yeah, because I always think, okay, it could have been one of two things. One is it was a great idea at the time, and then I just got so busy, or I got tired of writing and ran out of topics. But you're right though. You gotta because people. It's just like with restaurants and movies. A lot, or
Yeah,
my wife on Amazon a lot. She reads reviews.
yeah,
She does just a product.
yeah,
Okay, never heard of this product. I saw what the score was. Let me read reviews, and you can learn a lot just by going to somebody's
right,
website.
right.
Good.
And I would say the other thing is that was really important was not only just showing up to all of my networking events, was grabbing a cup of coffee or lunch with somebody. And we may not have been a good fit for each other, but we learned through that communication who we could be introduced to.
Yep, because a lot of times just, "Hey, how can I support you?"
Hmm.
And one day something will happen, likely,
Yep.
but yeah, so
Yep.
no, I like that very much. How did you get your first client, and do you remember who it was?
I do. And he's still with me today.
That
And
was
he's
my
the
ne
one who said, I'm going to hire you because you show up every week and your message doesn't change. Uh, so, yeah, he's still with me today.
very nice. Did you start with an idea of certain businesses or industries in mind?
That's a great question. Most people, that is a true statement. But for me, it was not because I'm a serial entrepreneur. We've had businesses from small package delivery to medical aesthetic spas. I'm addicted to learning about all kinds of businesses. So we kept our focus very broad. Now, say we have started focusing a little more on the trades and e-commerce because they seem to be needing a little more help and structure so that fit kind of where we're at with our business.
And so that makes it a little easier for you when you're talking to other trades to say, "Oh, yeah, by the way."
Correct.
and then they get
That
some comfort level with you?
yes. That and we do work with medical aesthetic spas, but I'm very selective on ones I'll work with. Um, I want to make sure they are sound and structurally and financially sound, because I don't want to relive any nightmares from my spa days.
Uh, what did you need to know on day one that you know today about growing a business?
Ooh, I'm gonna go all the way back to our small package delivery business. The resources that are available for small business owners today were not existent when I started my first business. And the competitive nature of other business owners wanting to help you was like, no, kind of that scarcity
Yeah.
mode that people go into. I will say that what I learned is there is so much business out there. There's plenty for everyone. Um, that and then my husband, bless his heart, he did that knock on doors with flyers to let people know we were open for business. But had we known that, joining the local chamber or a service organization or a BNI was not in my small town. I will tell you that because I pretty much knew everybody there. Um, would have been instrumental in hyper growing because we definitely did the slow grow. But once I learned about networking, that was a game changer.
What was the evolution of your elevator pitch for High Point Bookkeeping?
It changes a lot. Changes a lot. In fact, I think I'm going to be working with. Let me think. Is it Mike Manning
Yes, it
who's going to
is.
help us? Because we've really grown to a point where our message needs to mirror the services that we've expanded in our company. And so the message is changing, and I want to make sure that we are clear and that our ask gets really concise.
At the first meeting you ever went to as the brand new owner of the brand new bookkeeping company, what'd you ask for? You remember?
I never asked for anything. I really just told people, hey, I'm a recovering failed COVID business owner. And so the other thing I said is, I've been doing this since I graduated high school yesterday. So I'm really good at it, even though I crashed a couple of businesses during COVID. Um, so my sense of humor of maybe with myself and where I was and the services I was offering got people to lighten up about a heavy subject, which nobody wants to deal with, which is their accounting or bookkeeping.
Yeah, what we I've learned from other small business owners, it's standard usually is I'll do it when I get home, or even worse, I'll do it at the end of the month.
Yes, that one.
Never a good option, is it?
No, no, especially today. And I know that AI plays a big role in some accounting softwares, but you still have to babysit AI. Somebody still needs to watch over your accounts. I don't want any of my clients waking up one day and having, monies disappearing. But being in your books every week, you're more likely to catch any fraud that might have happened on your card. We had a construction company that all of a sudden had 5 charges to Amazon. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure that I have never seen history of you buying from Amazon. Are these your charges? And they weren't. So they were able to, dispute those charges and get their money back. If you're not watching over your books diligently, little things like that can eat away at your profit. And if you let them go too long, you're most likely not going to be able to fix the issue or get your money back.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Just a little, yeah. There's some things you really got to pay attention to, and that's one of them because with everything going on today, somebody's hacking somebody. They just are. But that's another soapbox to get onto for us. So, what did you learn during COVID with the 2 businesses that didn't make it that you have applied to High Point Bookkeeping?
So an important one, and I know we're all guilty of this, is just because you have money in your bank account does not mean you should purchase that thing, that shiny thing. You should not purchase it. So a little more discipline in the spa world. The salespeople are very, very good at what they do, and my team was very, very good at what they did. And so we had to start implementing. You got to put a plan together to present if you want that laser or that service. I need to know what is the cost, how long is it the ROI, what kind of training, you know. So we learned a little more discipline from that. We did keep our books frequently, but while we were closed for those 63 days, we were more worried about what are we going to have to comply with? Am I going to be able to get the equipment we need to be compliant and open our doors? And then in some cases, we had to make the decision of we just can't do that because I don't want to expose our liability in being the epicenter for anything spreading. So discipline, um, not hiring before you've really looked at, um, you know, am I able to hire? Um, growing at a pace that is measured, which is still a fine line. And we still struggle with that today because our we've been very fortunate and grown incredibly quickly. 101% last year was a huge growth spurt. So we went from 4 to 14 team members. Um, and we still are working every day. So we're a work in progress, but we love that about small business. It's messy, and we come alongside you to kind of help maybe step in that pile before you do, or help you see that pile before you make the next step.
Was the growth you have to 14 employees with it, was that always the growth plan to have people all over the United States?
Yes, I wanted to be a virtual firm, and while we have, you know, dived into the local economy, really we're a virtual firm. So it's fun to have team members across the United States. We have somebody in every time zone except for Alaska, but we cover that with the Hawaii one. Um, so we truly have clients and team members from Maui to Miami, which is a fun dynamic to have.
You are one of the, interesting people in BNI that actually asked to meet their competitors, because most people are like, "Oh, I don't," and like, "Hang on a sec, talk to Lori and figure out how that works." But why are you always asking to meet other bookkeepers?
Well, I like to have somebody to refer clients we can't help. Whether it's they're too small for us, or maybe they're a GC that a general contractor that is doing draws and things like that. We're not equipped to do that. So I'm always wanting to know, hey, who's a good referral for them if I can't help them? I want to be able to trust them. So if I can build the relationship with the other bookkeepers, it's okay for me to go, hey, this person might be able to help you. Here's their contact information.
And I think that's one of the things we think about when we start a business, like, okay, I can do everything. I want to do everything. I don't need any help. And in reality, your company can do some things, but you just
Hmm.
either they're not a good markup or I'm just not
Hmm.
interested in doing it, that you can find the right person, refer out, and there's gonna be something they do like, oh, Lori, please take this. I don't want to
Yeah,
work with,
yeah.
fill in the blank. So I'm glad you always ask to meet other bookkeepers.
Oh, yes. Literally, I was in one of my coaching groups and I said, hey, I do not want any more payroll fix. Who do you know that does payroll fixes? And that's all they do in bookkeeping. And I had a great one-to-one with them, and now they're going to get all of my payroll fixes because it's time consuming. and we just don't have the bandwidth because we're working with so many business owners, helping them get to what they want in their business.
So, in the evolution of High Point Bookkeeping, is that a thought for you and Stuart to find people like that are specific that you might be referring out to right now?
It absolutely,
Right, and are those type is a payroll fixer hard to find?
yes, a good one, yes.
Okay, alright.
They're very, it's very time consuming. I love it. This is one of those things where I'm going to tell you, I absolutely love payroll fixes. I just don't have the bandwidth anymore to take them on.
Yep, and see, but you're wise in building a relationship because you know that payroll fixer knows other people that are gonna need your business.
Exactly.
And
So
folks,
it's a
yep,
win-win.
that is how it works. So, how did you come up with the name High Point Bookkeeping?
Not because I'm from North Carolina.
That was my thought first time I met you. I'm like, "Oh."
I know. Um, so when I stepped out into going into what I know and I love to do, which is bookkeeping, and I'm really good at it. I did a lot of research. I wanted a specific level of when somebody saw our name, that it represented a higher level of service.
That makes sense. Makes sense. So,
And then I moved to North Carolina and went, instant SEO.
I know. Were you surprised that that name was available?
Yes.
What
But I used GoDaddy a lot. So I put in a lot of
Okay.
variations.
Was there a plan B if High Point Bookkeeping was taken?
No, it was going to be some form of high point bookkeeping. It was going to be.
Got it. All right. So one of my fun questions I like to ask for my married guests. So we've talked about your husband, Stuart, co-owner. How did you two meet, and do you both tell the story the same way?
We met my senior year in high school. We were working across the mall from each other in my small little resort town in Colorado. We were just outside of Aspen, Colorado. Um, I saw him every night because he would come over just before close. I worked in a sub shop, and he'd come in and get his evening drink or maybe a sandwich for the night. And one time he threw me his number. Took me a while to call him though. So we've been together over 40 years, married 40 years. So
All
he
right.
he puts up with all the ideas I have, and he's very happy that I'm focused on one business.
There you go. Where
And
was the official first date?
oh, in my hometown, hometown high school. Um, we had a great, well, I won't tell you the backside of that story, but he was not my first date that night.
Ouch. Oh, a player. Nice. Do tell.
No, don't tell Mike.
Alright, so
Yeah.
the first guy, where'd you go with the first guy that night?
Well, my then boyfriend was in town, and I was a cheerleader for boys varsity basketball, and he picked me up right after the game, and we just went to our normal spot to catch up. But I pretended I was sick, so I made him take me home, and then he took me home, and Stuart drove in right after him and picked me up, and we just went driving around and chatting.
You know
I
that's a
know.
scene from, Fast Times at Ridgemont High where he works at the movie theater and she works at the Slurpee place, right? Kinda like you and Stewart.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
what store did he work at in the mall?
Any shoes.
Oh, I think I'd rather work at the sub shop, yeah. And
It
I
was fun.
is that sub shop still there?
No, the owners are, I mean, I'm still friends with the owners because we kind of grew up with them in our small town. But no, that sub shop is not there anymore.
Aw. You get back to
It's
Aspen
okay.
much?
Say that one more time.
Do you get back to Aspen very often?
Not if I can help it.
Alright, I'm gonna
I
pass
don't.
on. Go ahead.
I just don't miss it. I don't miss the snow. We like it out here.
Gotcha.
Well, we got more snow than they did this year, but I still don't miss it.
Yeah, we got depending on where you lived around here and in the state of North Carolina, I know where we live, we were right in the middle of that band of no snow, and I was hopping mad because if it's gonna snow, I want it to snow because I like seeing snow. And it snowed like 12 inches all around us. We got like 2.5, and I was not happy.
Okay, well, see, we even got more than you. I think we were between the 5 and 6 mark where Stuart actually had to get the shovel we
Mhm.
brought from Colorado to scoop everything out.
Yeah. I was happy to send, grandkids pictures of us playing in the snow, and wasn't it they sent some pictures of them playing in the snow in Charlotte, but nothing for me, so not happy
Yeah,
about
no.
that.
It was weird. It was definitely a weird winter.
Yes, it was. It was. So, alright, so you and Stuart have 3 kids and 6 grandkids. The
We
age
do.
range of the grandkids are what?
14 to 3.
Wow, 14-year-old.
Yes.
Are you picking up on them knowing what you do for a living?
Well, um, they do know, well, but the granddaughters understand what I do because their dad is in a similar field and he lives in Poland, which is where my granddaughters are. So we do a lot of international travel. So they understand what I do. The boys, I don't think they care.
No.
playing, they're playing baseball. They're just fine
Yep.
being boys.
So your kids, your 3 kids picked up on bookkeeping and math and being good at stuff like that?
Well, the first one, yes. The second two were more. The youngest one is retired military, and the middle one was more apprenticeship. Well, but he's really super good at what he does, and he can do propane industry numbers like
Oop.
like he knows them. He could write them out. Where I got the bookkeeping side of it. Our youngest does work for us, and he's learning the bookkeeping, but he also worked on Kiowa helicopters, so math wasn't a non-issue for him. It's just now it's
Mm.
organized accounting of the numbers.
So one of my other favorite questions to husband and wife owned companies, and by the way, love my wife to death, but no way our marriage would have survived working together. So 2 questions and only 2 questions. What do you guys talk about after 5:30, and who breaks the tie?
Depends on who's the most stubborn that day on the tiebreaker. But a lot of times we're planning our, next visit to the grandkids. But I will tell you, there's nights or weekends where we're excited about where the business is going, and we'll talk business. We'll work on the business instead of in it.
And do you 2 what are your 2 roles in the business?
Well, it's being less and less in the bookkeeping world, and I am the face, the networker, the market development, um, chief relationship builder, inspiring the team is my role. And Stuart's role is more on the operational and financial side. So he just makes sure that I don't have to worry about the money and I don't have to reconcile my own books anymore. He takes care of all that and makes sure everybody's paid and billed and all of that.
And I can assume from the first time you got into any bookkeeping role, whenever far back that was, that technology has changed quite a bit?
Um, Interestingly, no. My first job was for an architect and engineer. We served clients in Aspen and Telluride. The only thing that changed was because they were architects and engineers, my interview was on a Macintosh with a mouse.
I
And I'm
remember.
like, what is this? I know function keys. I don't know these. Um, but I will say that, the online software has been a game changer for a good portion of business owners because many of them travel and they can still see how their business is doing. They can still issue an invoice. They can still pay a bill. So it's got more automated, but there were still softwares in place that kept bookkeeping organized and not the manual stuff that you learn in college with the actual ledger paper.
Which leads me to one of my questions. Believe in your bio you have Barnes Business College. Uh,
Yeah.
what was the plan when you enrolled there?
Oh, so my attention span is about 5 minutes long. And this college, you had to learn it and pass it in 6 weeks. I'm like, perfect. And I don't have to take PE. I'm in.
Uh,
I'm that simple.
and how long did it take you, and what degree did you get from there?
2 years, and it wasn't quite an associate's, so I got a diploma. Um, I got through my 2 years, and I had the option to graduate or take an extra year for my associates. But my next classes were tax code. And I'm like, nope, I'm out.
Yeah.
Give me my diploma.
Yep. There again, there's some things in industries you're in that like, I want no part of that. So I'm
We
with
don't
you on
do
that.
taxes.
All right. So this part of the show, we get to the no overthinking allowed round. Okay.
Ready?
Snow or no snow?
No,
None whatsoever.
none.
Did you ski growing up?
Skied twice, ran over my sister every time.
Was that by design?
I never learned how to stop.
Okay. Okay. Did your family like skiing?
No,
Okay, fair enough. What is something people assume about your business that is totally wrong?
that we do taxes, that having an accounting firm means you do taxes.
And you want no part of that either, right?
Nope.
All right. If you could master one skill, what would it be?
Ooh. Hmm. I don't know if I have an answer for that, Mike. You stumped me.
I like that. All right.
I
All right.
know.
Well, you can tell me next week when or whenever I see you next. Okay.
Okay, fair.
If they make a movie about your life, who do you want to play you?
Oh, another good one.
So,
Goldie Hawn, because why not?
oh, good. I like that call. All
At
right.
least she's a little bit more in my age range.
I'm good with that. Is your work email inbox organized or is it chaos?
Depending on if I just got back from vacation, most of the time it's pretty organized.
Would you like to share a tip on how you keep it organized?
I start my day clearing out my inbox, and in I we use Microsoft with Outlook, but even when I had my Google email, I made folders and I would file client emails in their folders so that if I needed to refer back to it, or if I didn't get to it, I at least knew how to find it in my inbox so that the junk stuff stood out and I could delete it confidently.
No, I hear you. What is one word your team would use to describe you as a boss?
Depending on the day. Okay. Um, driven.
Okay. And you look for that when you interview for new bookkeepers?
I do. We had to learn, who we were looking for. So we've grown through that, but definitely looking, for those focused. And because we are remote, you have to have focused
Yeah.
discipline to be successful.
It is hard working from home. I have found that out. What's a guilty pleasure few people know about you?
I love I love going on cruises.
Nice. Those are outstanding. Folks, if you've never been on a cruise, we both recommend you do it at least once. You'll have a blast. So,
Tack once, play the whole time.
yep, I hear you. When your kids were younger, and it could be with your grandkids now, when you're offering, let's just say offering advice on a certain issue that they may not be paying attention to. When you're talking to your kids or grandkids, in your head, are you hearing your mother or your father?
Typically my mother.
Yep. And how long were you a mother before you stopped yourself one day after you said that statement to one of your kids? My mother said that to me for years.
Oh, I probably recognized that pretty early on. The funny thing is all the boys married me. They married a version of me, every
Okay.
one of
All right. Was there something you wanted to be when you were growing up?
a teacher,
Huh? What subject?
elementary, so that would have been all the subjects.
There you go. Yeah, that's true. And with all the grandkids, you're technically a de facto elementary school teacher. So, because I know you've
Okay.
helped them with stuff. Yeah. What are you most excited for in 2026 for High Point Bookkeeping?
Ooh, I'm really excited where we're going this year, and ultimately, this year is a revenue goal that I think any small business owner would be excited to reach. So it's not so much, expanding the team now is growing into the services that we are offering.
Very nice. All right, folks, we've been putting Lori's phone number up here. I recommend that you give her a call because you need an expert in this field for a number of reasons, and you'll thank me later. But Lori, before we go, give us a good tip on how to network successfully.
So whether you're in BNI or not, there's other ways to network that you can in your service, in your communities. There's service organizations like Kiwanis and Rotary. There's local chambers who offer networking events. Attend those. Bring those guests to your BNI chapter. Um, Go to one-on-ones with these people that you've met in other organizations. Build relationships because that whether you sell this business that you have right now, or you maybe get let go from the job you have, these relationships are how you fill the gap or move on to your next story.
When you're at any networking event, whether you were in BNI or not, and you met somebody there that's like, okay, there's something here. What's the first thing you did after that meeting?
Ooh, I would grab a coffee with them as soon as I possibly could, or we had a phone call. We exchanged cards for sure. And if at the very least I followed up with an email to see if we could have a virtual meeting to have a conversation. Or the last piece would be I thought of somebody I needed that you should meet, would make an introduction to somebody.
Yeah, you got to follow up, folks. You just have to, because to assume everyone's going to call you, bad assumption.
Yep.
All right. So, one more thing, another tip for people watching the show today who are thinking of starting any type of business. What's one or two things they need to have in place or in mind to make that happen?
And some funds are always helpful to start your business. I've started some without funds. We've done the shoestring and we've started ones by purchasing one. But understanding how you're going to fund your lifestyle is important. And B, having an idea or an advisory team around you from your CPA to a business attorney to your local business development center to help you get those resources around you that you need to vet your idea or set it up for success.
Very nice. Yep. You can't do it alone. Don't care how smart
Mm-mm.
you are or who you are. Can't do it alone. The math
Yep,
doesn't work. You cannot do everything in your business.
that
And,
is correct.
and, reach the goal you want to reach because we start a business to either make a lot of money, travel, be flexible. So if you're working 20 hours a week or 20 hours a day, basically you just bought yourself a business. or bought yourself
Yeah,
a
you got a
job,
job.
excuse me.
Yeah,
Yeah, not a business.
yeah.
So anyways. All right, Lori, thanks for being on today, folks. We've been putting Lori's phone number up there. Please give her a call. Just chat with her. I know it'll help, and you'll be surprised on the just maybe a couple things you need to be doing. Not everything right now. And you'll grow. She'll help you grow to that point where you need more help. So, but outsource your bookkeeping. You're likely not going to be good at it. Consistently good at it, and that could get you into trouble. So, Lori, thanks for being on the show today. Really enjoyed the tips and the stories.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me, Mr. Manning.
And we will see everybody next time on Capital to the Coast BNI.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. If you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it in the archives section at nissancommunications.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, and like us on Facebook. Sponsored by StreamingGear.com and DeltaForce.net.